Hi friends, this is Prem. Today we are going to discuss about the very important topic USCIS FDNS site visit. What does it mean? Who are USCIS FDNS and what are the intention to come to the worksite location and check whether the employee is really working there or not. If the USCIS officers come to your office and check whether you are really employee or not, what are the documents you have to show to them? So it's very important topic. Today we are going to discuss all our queries with our attorney Henry. He is from Manifest Law and Manifest Law is providing free consultation. So if you have any visa queries or any questions related to your visa, please feel free to create an appointment with them. It's totally free and you have a QR code on your screen. Use the QR code and create your free consultation with them. Hi Henry, we are going to discuss a very important topic today. Like last meeting, so you provided a lot of information about the eyes, right? And it was really helpful for many people. Thanks for that. And today we are going to discuss about the another right, but it is a different people coming, different office. It's a USCIS FDNS, right? Thanks, Henry. எப்படி இருக்கீங்க?
நல்லா இருக்கீங்க.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks. Vanakkam.
Vanakkam. Good to be here as always. The USCIS FDNS is the Fraud Detection and National Security. It's a department inside of USCIS, and as the name suggests, their point or their purpose is to find any instances of fraud and to address concerns or investigations of national security. So when they find something in, let's say, background checks and they suspect somebody of, possible criminal activity or something like that.
I'm just confused about the eyes and the USCIS FDNS. Are those two different entities?
Correct. Those are separate things. So if you are somebody on an H1B, for example, then there's at least 3 different people that could come and inspect the workplace or come looking for some information. There could be an ICE raid if they are looking for a specific person or if they just want to see the I-9, right? Because every employer has to record the I-9 form where they register who is the employee that started and they verify that they are authorized to work in the United States. Then the second would be Department of Labor. Because if you remember, the LCA for the H1B cases is filed with the Department of Labor. So a Department of Labor official might be coming over to check the LCA, make sure that the work is actually matches what's on the LCA, such as did the posting notices get posted, and they might ask for the public access file, and then they can look at the wages to make sure that you are actually getting paid the prevailing wage as listed on the LCA. And then the third one is the USCIS FDNS team. They are basically looking at was all the information submitted in the USCIS petition correct? Or has there been any changes, or did you lie about anything in the case? Those are the 3 different ones. I guess there is also a potential for a DOJ or Department of Justice investigator to come, but I haven't encountered that myself, and I'm not really sure what's the difference there. I think that might be some higher level investigations, but that's very rare.
Wow, that's a great explanation. You mentioned H1Bs all the time. So is it only for the H1Bs or it's applicable for L1, or if anyone is working under the F1 OPT STEM program?
All of those are covered under the FDNS team. Basically, if there's any kind of petition like H1B, L1, R1 visas, or for the STEM OPT cases, then it is possible that an FDNS site visit will happen. They are not very common, and they usually happen kind of random, but there are some situations where the likelihood is higher, let's say. So, for example, if you are on an L1 at a company where there's a lot of L1s being filed, then that increases the chances that they will come and inspect the worksite and check on what are people working on. Because if you have a very high percentage of staff in your company on L1 visas, then they might come and check. Let's make sure that these are all actually the real L1B or L1A positions, not just for the company lying about the job duties just to get the people in here. And same thing for H1Bs. If you are a consulting business and you are sending your consultants to different companies to work, and you have a very high percentage of H1B staff, then you're probably at a much higher risk of having an FDNS site visit. Whereas if you are just a regular company who occasionally sponsors somebody for H1B, then probably the risk of having an FDNS site visit is much lower.
So when you mentioned the FDNS visit, whether is it a pre-planned one or it's just like a surprise visit to any employer or the client location?
Most of the time, it is a surprise visit. It can actually be in person, via email, or over the phone. Sometimes I've seen companies get maybe a phone call and they say that they are going to come the next day or something. But most of the time, they just show up unannounced, introduce themselves as being from USCIS. Maybe they show their ID or their business card, and then they start asking questions from different people. And it can happen pretty fast that some of the employees don't even realize who they're talking to before they're already giving some answers. So it's one of their tactics that's how they get the information about what's happening in the company. Is this even a real company that's operational? What do people do around here? And then if they are looking for Praveen, who is on an H1B, then they might just start asking the secretary, hey, do you know Praveen? What's his job title anyway? Because they're trying to double check if the job title that the secretary says is the same job title that was in the USCIS paperwork, right?
But sometimes, right, so when they file the LCA, there will be a one title. And when they are working in the company, the title might be different. Might be the roles and responsibilities same. But the title is sometimes is not matched exactly. Whether does it the problem?
I mean, job titles can change over time, and also there is the SOC code that might say software engineer. Your job title at the company is senior developer or something different, right? So it doesn't exactly match.
Right, yeah.
That's not a problem. The main issue that comes up for companies is that if there's enough changes, then you're supposed to file an amended petition. Right. So if you go from part-time to full-time, if you go from being an engineer to being a manager, if the job duties change so much that it's no longer really the same job, then it means that you should file an amended petition. Same thing if the worksite changes. If the company moves offices to a completely different city, then there are certain steps you have to take to, update the filings and let USCIS know about it. They are checking to make sure you've done that. And a lot of the times people just kind of go on with their business, everybody's busy. And then all of a sudden, you've been working in a different job for already 6 months and nobody has yet filed an amended petition. That's when you can have problems with the site visit if it happens.
Yeah, that's a good awareness you created, Henry. So always we need to check with our LCA title and the job title. As you said, the roles and responsibilities should be matched at least. Yeah, that's a good awareness, Henry. So I have the other question. So when you said they will come to the office for the surprise visit or any client location, whether the employees all the time they have to carry the I-797, say example, if they are in the H1B, all the time should they carry the I-797 with them or LCA with them, or just like a digital copy is enough?
Digital copy is fine. The officer that's coming for the FDNS visit is not really there to check your approval notice or your immigration status. That's something like we talked about last time about, confronting ICE on the street or in a public space. Then they might ask you, are you legally in the United States or what's your immigration status? The FDNS, they already know that you are on an H1B because they've seen the H1B file. And what they're trying to double check is whether there's anything different in real life than what was put into the petition, right? So, for example, if the petition says that you are working at this address and then they come to that address and you are not there, then they're going to have a question. Why is he not here, right? Why is he working someplace else? And is this something that's a regular thing, or is this just a one-time thing that currently he got pulled out into an unscheduled site visit somewhere else or something like that? Because if you're regularly at a different location, then that should have been mentioned in the petition. But if it's just some unscheduled short travel or something, then that's allowed under the regulation. So those are the things they are looking for there to make sure that the employer was honest in what they put into the petition about your job duties and things like that. Because, somebody might lie about the job duties just to make sure that the person gets the H1B, but maybe actually it's not a position that would be eligible for an H1B. So they're trying to catch that kind of lying.
Thanks for explaining about the intention, because it really helps the people what is the USCIS FDNS visit and what is the intention. When you mentioned about the address on the petition, some people may work from office or some people may work from home, right? So what will happen if they are working from home and the USCIS FDNS officers come to the home? So whether is it possible first?
Possible. I've never had that happen for any of my clients. I think it's quite rare. They prefer to go to maybe a bigger office where they then can talk to multiple people and get more information. But in theory, it is possible that you have somebody ring the doorbell and surprise, it's the FDNS officer who is asking you about your H1B job duties. Basically, the thing would be the same, that you answer their questions and you tell them about your job. So they might be asking about, so you work from home, how many hours a week do you work, what do you get paid? They might ask for your pay stubs, for example, because they want to make sure that paycheck that you are getting is actually matching what the petition said that you're going to get paid. And then they might look at the work location and ask you about your job duties and things like that.
Earlier you mentioned they can verify through the phone or email as well. If they call any of the employees and saying like, okay, I am the USCIS officers calling from the FDNS department, how do the employee know whether they are the real USCIS officer or is like some scam call?
That's a great question. I've not had them call any of my clients. I've heard from other attorneys that they can sometimes do that, but that is basically how I would probably recommend starting the phone call. Is if somebody says, "Hi, I'm calling from USCIS FDNS," then I would say, "How do I know that you are actually the USCIS FDNS? Is there a public phone number that I can maybe call back from your website? Like, tell me where to find this information and I'll call you back to make sure that I'm reaching the right agency," or something like that. Because absolutely, if they don't have some kind of proof for you over the phone that they are really who they say they are, then I would say you don't have to answer their questions, because it's dangerous, right? You shouldn't be giving information over the phone if you're not absolutely certain that this is the right person. If it's some scammer and they are asking about how much to get paid and what's your social security number, then that sounds like, okay, don't give them that answer. If they call you, or if they send an email, or even if they show up at the office, then the good practice would be to let your attorney know as soon as possible. So if it's a business, then presumably they use an attorney to prepare the H1B, maybe not. But if you do have an attorney, then let them know as soon as possible, right? Because the attorney might be able to give you some advice quickly or tell you what to do, tell you what not to do. If they contact you via email, then the attorney would definitely like to see that email and see what kind of information they are requesting. And then the attorney can also review your reply to that email to make sure that you are drafting the response correctly. And they might have some suggestions on what kind of information or documents to attach to the email when writing that response.
So the employee have an option to say, I want to talk to attorney instead of answer to the USCIS, or they should answer to the USCIS at the spot?
If they are there in person, they should still answer to what the officer is asking about. But if the officer is asking for some kind of information that's maybe difficult to get, or something that takes time, then they can say that, or they can say, hey, I just need my attorney's help with getting some of this information for you, or some of the documents.
Great, Henry. Yeah, you shared a lot of information, and you created the main awareness to our community, saying like, okay, you should always know about your job title as well as what is the LCA SOC code and what are the roles and responsibility, and make sure that what they are working aligned to the LCA roles and responsibility. Yeah, those are the great advice, Henry. Thank you so much for your time. You created the great awareness through this video. Thanks, Henry. Nandri.